you guys. So today I'm going to share something really special with you. I'm nervous and excited to share this raw footage with you because it's a little vulnerable for me, but I think it's important to share. I'm going to share with you the story of how I got into the PhD program that I was just admitted into. If you didn't catch on Instagram, follow me at Kaylee Zapata. I shared with you guys a little bit about my story of how I got to where I am today. This has been like a 2-year journey, but really, if I'm honest with myself, like a 4-year journey. I couldn't really talk about any of this stuff with you guys because I had to keep some things elusive based off of the way the program works. I wasn't sure what I was allowed to share based off of my situation because, like I told you guys in my Instagram post, my journey was not linear. I had to deal with a lot of things that not a lot of people have to deal with going through this process. Pretty soon into my master's at San Francisco State, I realized that I wanted to work with the advisor that I'm with right now. So I applied to the PhD program the first time. I didn't get in the first time. I was actually admitted into the master's program again, and they basically told me that I had the possibility to apply, well, to basically do the master's program for a year and then apply in the summer after my first year into the PhD program. But that was only if I was considered an exceptional student. And I only use the quotations because I think that there are many definitions of an exceptional person in general, but that's the term that they used. The footage that you're about to see is me literally the day after I found out that I wasn't able to apply in the summer and that I would have to spend another year as a master's student. So basically my second time getting rejected into this program. Hello, everybody. I'm filming this today because I think it's important that I film it now while things are really fresh. But I don't really know when I'm going to actually post this because I think that this is going to be a really hard thing to share. And I wasn't sure if I was going to start crying because I've been crying a lot the last 24 hours, but there's still some tears left. I recently came back from vacation and I found out that I in fact am not invited to be able to interview in the summer. It's nothing specific, but basically I spent so much time this year focusing on my grades and focusing on school. And the weird thing about a PhD program is that the focus is not on school and it's not on classes, and it's almost exclusively on research. And that's why they need really smart students who can get good grades in classes without really trying hard, because most of your effort has to go towards research. I was told that I needed to focus solely on my classes, and so I didn't really focus on research. And that was unfortunate. I'm not going to say that it was a mistake because had I not focused on classes and only focused on research, then, I would have been good on that front, but I would have still had the same GPA, and so I would be in the same predicament that I was in this time last year. So basically I was offered to apply again in November to start to be interviewed in January of 2019 so that I could potentially, if I get in, start the PhD program in the fall of 2019. I don't think a lot of people knew the specific situation. Most people just knew that I'm pursuing a PhD, which is true, and it's still true now. I'm pursuing a PhD, but I just hit a couple of roadblocks along the way. So nothing really changes other than my title, and I actually will end up getting 2 degrees instead of just 1, which I guess silver lining, that's kind of cool. But I just have been working really hard. I have put everything, every ounce of my being into this year, and it all just came crashing down. And I mean, if you're friends with me, I haven't really been around because I've been putting 200% of myself into this program. And so I'm just that's where the tears are coming from. It's disappointment. In myself frustration and anger because, you know, I know that I have potential to be a really good researcher, and because of that, I need to step up my game as a researcher. And so when I was told this yesterday, I'm not angry, and I don't think it's unfair, and I can take a step back and objectively look at the situation and say, yeah, you're right. Like, I need to develop myself as a researcher. This year, I stressed myself out so much, like so much, because I was so afraid of getting a B. I was so afraid of failing in classes, because that's kind of what was like instilled in me at the beginning of the year, that in the process of doing that, I lost a lot of my creativity, and it inhibited me from developing ideas. That's been the problem. The problem has been the fact that I have not given myself space to think and to grow and to learn because of these, you know, individual circumstances that I was placed under. But in the process, I realized that things take time, and more time than you think. I don't think I've ever felt this way before about anything, and I've been through a lot in my life, but this is different because it's like, it's not something happening to me, it's something that I did. But God's not done with his plan. And I don't think that God would have allowed me to start this whole thing if he didn't want me to finish it. And it looks glamorous from the outside in, but it is hard. It's hard, and it's stressful, it's discouraging, it's lonely, and it knocks me down. This is what happens. I cry, and I feel really sad, and then I get angry, and I think, no, this is not going to happen. In the sense that I'm not going to let it defeat me. So I was pretty devastated, but I talked a lot with Kevin about like what our next steps were going to be. I knew that no matter what, I was going to finish with a PhD from this university in 5 or 6 years. Like, no matter if I had to be a master's student for the second year, it didn't really matter to me, in retrospect. At the time, it was really humbling, and I knew I had to like just kind of strip away all my pride and like be a master's student for another year and kind of deal with everyone like knowing what was going on in the department and stuff. Just kind of like keeping my head down and moving forward. And so that's basically what I did. In the summer, I spent a lot of time, it was like, I found out like at the beginning of the summer. So for the summer semester, I spent a ton of time with my advisor just trying to figure out like how I could be a better student and researcher. I started writing grants for her, or like kind of helping her writing grants and getting practice doing that. I started coming up with my dissertation idea and really just getting like gung-ho into research. So I started school this week. My schedule is a lot different because last year my main focus was school, and I had a lot of classes, and I had stress on like the academic end. And this year I'm taking one class, and the rest of my stuff is research. And my main focus is making my application good, but also like moving forward with gazelle-like intensity on writing grants and writing papers or manuscripts and writing abstracts to present at conferences and doing the whole research side of things. Just struggling a lot with that reality. It kind of comes and goes. Like when I first found out I couldn't apply in the summer, I was really mad, I was really sad, I was kind of depressed for like a week. I'm struggling with like if something happens, like I write something and it's not good and I have to make edits on it and I get critiqued in some way. I'm struggling with like figuring out if I am causing strife for myself because of my internal demons, or if my advisor is causing strife because she has good intentions for me, but also because she just has really high expectations that, to be honest, sometimes feel unattainable. When the fall semester started last year, I think shit kind of hit the fan, for lack of a better term. Sorry for the cussing, but I don't really know how else to describe it. Things were just building up because I had to apply for the PhD program soon, like in November, and I was progressively getting more stressed, and that's really when like all of my stress started to manifest in my gut candida issues, which honestly I think is probably the #1 reason why I got candida in the first place. I think I was super stressed, and that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. So that the next couple like minutes of footage that you're gonna see is me like just being really tired, really stressed. After I submitted my application to the PhD program, you'll see I had a mental breakdown, like a nervous breakdown, when I was taking one of my finals. So that was fun. I'm currently sitting on the floor with a pile of laundry. It's getting like really close to the application date, and it's really hard to figure out if the negative thoughts that I have in my mind are like clouding my judgment of what's actually happening. The way my advisor talks about like my future with the lab, it's like non-existent. And I know that she's doing that just because she can't really say anything, you know, even if she did want me as a PhD student, she can't really like make it seem like I'm gonna get it, if that, you know, if you know what I mean, because she doesn't have that power completely. I understand that part. It's really challenging. It's not fun. Every single day I feel like the work that I do, like I come into the day thinking like, okay, I got this work done. It's enough, it's superior, you know, it's more than enough. And then I get told that something is wrong. I think the thing that is really the most heartbreaking is that I feel myself self-sabotaging myself. I said myself a lot. So this week, it's been a roller coaster, to say the least. I tried to work out today, and I ended up crying in the sauna. So that pretty much sums up my week. Oh my gosh. It's 10 days until I submit my application, and I don't know why, like all the stuff is there, but I just feel like I'm frozen. I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like I'm not myself. I'm not my normal peppy self, and like there's these things I need to get done that are so easy that I could just finish, and for some reason I'm just like not, I'm just stuck. I feel led. I feel led to talk to you guys right now. I did some kind of hippie things, and I like opened up the window and I put on some high frequency music for a couple hours, and I put essential oils on my body that would help just release negative energy and get rid of negative energy. And whether you believe in that or not, that's fine, but I am a strong believer in Jesus Christ as well. And so I, after that, did devotions once my head was in the right space, and I did this devotion that I found on the app that I use, and I have to share it with you guys. Today, the title of today's devotion was Following God's Plan. Hello. I'm trying to follow this plan, and I've just been feeling so discouraged. Hebrews 11:1, which Hebrews is my favorite book in the entire Bible, says, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we cannot see." And I just got chills, and I'm gonna cry, I swear. Then she goes on to say, to reference 2 Corinthians 5:7, which says that we live by faith and not by sight. Now, those are two Bible verses that I have definitely heard millions of times growing up, but for whatever reason, it's just hitting home right now, the fact that faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we cannot see. And what she goes on to say is that you have to get used to in this life not being able to see anything. And the only thing that we have that we can look at and that we can see is God. So she says, you'll never have a clue where you're going. You know, we always are trying to figure out what God's plan is, and we're always trying to figure out where he's taking us. And she says, you know what, you just have to get used to not knowing. And she references Abraham and how he went on this crazy journey, and every step of the way had no idea where he was going, and no matter what was still like, God, I'm going with you, and I'm following in your wherever you want me to go, I will follow blindly. It is Halloween. Almost 8 o'clock, 7:30. I'm still here. at school. I'm waiting for this to load. My application is due tomorrow, and I don't know if it's due at midnight, like 11:59 on the 31st or not, but I'm turning it in before I go home. Hopefully I don't bomb my test tomorrow because I'm too stressed out about that. Today is November 16th, and I submitted my application to the PhD program at USC, which you guys saw, on November 1st. And rather than having to wait for, you know, a couple days or weeks to find out if I made it past this round, I was able to find out today. And I made it! Yeah, so the next step is in 10 weeks, I'm going to interview with the faculty. Man, oh man. So I had a nervous breakdown during my final. That was fun. It was one of those things where, like, the week leading up to my final in the research lab, the senior student that's in the lab with me, he's been helping me like figure out how to run all the tests that we need to run and how to organize things and all that stuff. And I made a really dumb mistake, and this was like a week prior to my final. And it was something where like I didn't set one of the machines up properly, and I should have done it, but I didn't. And so my advisor was like, you know, you need to make sure that you're like not being negligent and that you set this up properly, because we need to get the right measurement of the participant, and if we don't, then we have to throw out the data, which is huge because it's like 16 weeks worth of data that we're dropping and throwing out in like one fell swoop. So I totally understood where she was coming from, but because I am so hard on myself, I was just like devastated. I was like, this is the reason why I'm not gonna get in. She hates me. I'm stupid. Like all of the negative self-talk that you could imagine is what I was thinking. And so fast forward a couple days later, I was doing that exact same test, and my senior student, he's kind of like my mentor, I guess. So he came in to watch me do the test to make sure I was doing it correctly. And I knew that he was doing that not on his own accord, but because my advisor told him to. And this whole process has been really unnerving in that respect, because I know people are talking about me behind my back. I know that they're watching my every move, and those two things combined, I don't do well with. So I knew that he was in there because I had screwed up the first time. So of course it's like you kind of second guess yourself. Like it's like an athlete, like once they miss the first time, like they're more likely to miss again and again because they psych themselves out. So I made the same mistake, and he had to fix the problem. So for the second time in my life, I went to go see a counselor. I got home that night, I told Kevin what happened. I went online, and the student health services at my school offers counseling, and you can just schedule your appointment online. And so I'm like, you know what? I need to talk to someone. I need to talk to someone who's a counselor. I need to talk to someone who works with PhD students a lot, because this stuff is really hard, and it's something that if you haven't gone through yourself, you don't really know how to help. Program before, it's like a whole other beast, and it's really hard for people who aren't in that situation to kind of like empathize and sympathize with you and all the stresses that you're going through. I mean, it's hard enough to like deal with your relationship with your advisor, and then like deal with all of the workload because you're taking classes, but you're also teaching classes, and then you also have to do research. It's all really, really challenging. And then on top of that, I was doing all of that, but I also I had this like underlying stress because I didn't know if I was gonna stay. I didn't know if my advisor trusted me or if she liked me. I was questioning myself every single day, and that was like really the hardest part of all of this, is just the fact that like every day I was questioning who I was questioning my academic prowess and my capabilities as a researcher, which I know everybody does, but I didn't have any security. Like, at least as a PhD student, you know, like, yeah, you still doubt yourself, yeah, you still don't know where you're going, but at least you know that for the next couple of years, like, you have that security of that time to grow as a scientist. I didn't know that I had that, and it was so hard to like hear my advisor say, if you stay, or, oh, Kaylee's graduating soon and she's gonna leave, and me being like, I don't want to leave. Like, I want to stay here. I had to deal with other people getting into the PhD program before I did, and work with them, next to them, side by side on a day-to-day basis. So all of that was really, really challenging to deal with, because I knew what I wanted, but I was doubting that every single day, and I was doubting what God had put into my heart in the first place. And so going to see this counselor was really helpful because she has worked with PhD students before and understands like the politics and all the things that go behind like living or working in an academic field and getting a PhD. So she was really able to give me some clarity, and I basically saw her from the time I had my nervous breakdown on my final up until when I interviewed, and then a couple weeks after. And so she really helped me get through that time and really helped me just kind of like air out a lot of my grievances and deal with a lot of the things that I had going on in my head based off of like my success and my confidence in myself. You don't realize like over time how tired you sound and how what's the word I'm trying to look for? Just like worn out. I didn't realize how worn out I sound now compared to like a year ago or like a year and a half ago. Not even a year ago, actually. Because you just go through day to day and you're like, you know, this is just my new normal, this is my new normal. And things just get a little bit more stressful as the days go by. And I honestly think that I thought at the time like I had killed it. I was like, there's no way that I'm not getting in. Like there's no way. So I finished the interview. I felt really, really great. I had to wait a couple weeks before I found out that if I got in or not. And I had scheduled a vacation with Kevin, which you guys know. We went to Las Vegas, and we scheduled that purposely. I figured I would go on vacation, just kind of like air out my head. Kevin needed to air out his head too. And then we would come back and I would hopefully find out that I got in. While we were on vacation, I found out that one of my friends had got in because they posted on social media. And so I got super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this person got their letter. Like when we get home, maybe my letter is going to be in the mail too. We got home and my letter wasn't in the mail. And I was like, well, maybe like he got it in person or something. So like, I'll just wait until I go to school on Monday and like see what happens. And I went, and I hadn't had time to talk to my advisor, but everyone was talking about how like certain people got waitlisted and certain people didn't. And like, it was this big thing. And it turns out that I was waitlisted. And so everyone was talking about it. And I was like, what in the world? Like, how in the world did I get waitlisted? Like, this is crazy. So I went to my advisor and I asked her, and she was like, yeah, like, you know, you did get waitlisted, but like, don't, you know, I'm holding out hope. I think that everything's gonna work out. Whole process of from me getting waitlisted to finding out that I actually got in took about 3 weeks. During that time, I was so stressed. I was so stressed out. I was depressed. I didn't really post a lot on social media. I didn't post a lot of videos because I just didn't have the energy and I didn't have the like spirit. And it was so hard listening to everyone kind of like talk behind my back. Not really talk behind my back, but like talk and be like, oh my gosh, I wonder if she's gonna get in. I'm like, I don't need this right now. Like, this is so ridiculous. Like the night that I found out that I got in, I have to explain it a little bit. So my advisor called me and it was just really, really like unobtrusive. She was like, you got in. And I was like totally shocked. Kevin was freaking out. He was super excited. But I couldn't let myself be excited. For whatever reason, I just couldn't let myself be excited. And I think it was because I was like angry at how everything happened. Like I had a picture in my head of what it would look like when I got in. What ended up happening was, you know, the whole waitlisting situation. After that, I was like, well, now I have like this sour taste in my mouth because I don't know if I'm actually qualified to do this. And so when I found out that I got in, I wasn't as excited as I probably should have been. I got it! Yesterday was really funny because I was making dinner. It was very unassuming. I was making dinner and my advisor called me, and we have been working on this grant that was due yesterday. And so when she called and I saw her name on my phone, I was like, oh, she's probably calling about the grant, like something's wrong. And so I was like, crap, I'm like cooking vegetables and garlic. And so I just answered, and I was like about to burn the garlic. And I was like, what's up? Like, what's wrong? It's, you know, we need to fix the grant or whatever. She was like, this isn't about the grant. I think that the grant is fine. I just wanted to call and let you know that you have been accepted into the PhD program. When she told me yesterday, Kevin could tell like right away. He was sitting on the couch and he like jumped up and was like because I was like, are you serious? Like, I did, you know? I was like saying certain things, so he knew. Instantly went into like hype beast.
You did it. You doctor. Oh, you a doctor!
It overcame me, and it's been such a long time. Like, it's been 3 years that I have been waiting and wanting for the school to happen, and 3 years is a long freaking time. 3 years is a long time. Like, when I finally found out, I just kind of assumed that when I found out that I would start crying, and that, you know, it would be like a movie scene where, like, you know, the music comes on and everything's perfect. And it was like that because of Kevin, but I was also, it was just hard to feel it. I really wanted to post this video because I think it's really important to stress that not all goals that you like strive to reach are going to be linear. And what I mean by that is, like, it's not like black and white. It's not going from point A to point B. It's like a really messy, turny, topsy-turvy journey that you're gonna take. Why this is important is because I think a lot of times the first time people like face rejection, they just give up and they're like, oh, okay, that means I'm not supposed to do it. I faced rejection every single day for the last 4 years, basically. But I think that it's really important to show the adversity that I faced, the tears, the failures that I faced, because I never realized. I always looked at people who were successful and I said, oh, I want to be like them. You look at someone at the end of their journey when they've reached a certain goal, and I never realized, dumbly enough, maybe I'm the only one who didn't realize this, but I never realized like just how much it hurts to go through everything, just how much you have to struggle, and how painful it is to go through all of this stuff and to come out on the other side on top. Most people only see the end. They see, oh, this person's so successful, like it must have been so easy for them. I want to do that. It's going to be so much fun. And then they face their first bout of adversity and they're like, oh, that's what this is about. I went through the last 4 years of uncertainty, crying a lot, like really, really angry. I lost my spirit for a while, and I kept getting the door slammed on my face time after time, but I didn't give up. And I think it was because I couldn't give up. Like, this was something that was deep-seated inside of me that I knew if I didn't try to do, that I was gonna regret it for the rest of my life. I don't want to dwell on like the failures that I've had, but I really do just want to share with you guys that if you want to be successful in anything, it's going to be really hard. And if you feel like a failure every single day, you're not alone, because that's how you're supposed to feel. Like, that's what I really want to get across to people, is that it's not all rainbows and sunshine. When you are trying to achieve a goal, it is hard work, and it hurts and it's painful. But coming out on the other side, that hurt and that pain and that failure is what shapes you into being the person that you are at the end of it. And that's why we look at people who are successful and we say, like, wow, they have a lot of character, like they have a lot of strength. I really look up to them. Well, they have a lot of character and a lot of strength because they've been through a lot of stuff. And I can attest, I've gotten my first taste. I'm sure that I'm going to face adversity going through the rest of my career as a scientist. Of course I am. But I feel like this whole experience has prepared me for that. And I think that it's important to share with you guys, so that's why I'm sharing it. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below with anything that you want to ask me. I don't know, and I'm so sorry that this is like 40 minutes long, but I think it's important to talk about. All right, I will see you guys next time. Bye.